Good evening. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has revealed that 4 more persons died from COVID-19 yesterday, taking fatalities from the virus now to 283. The deceased are a 71-year-old female from Clarendon, a 41-year-old female from Manchester, a 94-year-old female from St. James, and a 73-year-old male from Kingston and St. Andrew. 2 other deaths are currently under investigation. The total of new infections increased by 71 yesterday, taking the total of persons with the virus now to 12,039, with 2,932 active cases. The ages of the new cases range in age from 14 days to 98 years. The new cases were recorded in Clarendon and St. Elizabeth with 3 cases each, Kingston and St. Andrew 13 cases, Manchester 9 cases, St. Anne recorded 3 cases, St. Catherine recorded 33 cases, St. James 1 case, St. Thomas 4 cases, and Westmoreland recorded 2 cases. Meanwhile, 143 more persons have recovered from COVID-19, taking that total to 8,668. 11 persons are critically ill and 15 are deemed moderately ill. 89 persons are now in the hospital. In the meantime, the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, is spending days in the Western region as he continues to meet with key stakeholders there. Dr. Tufton was at a meeting with the St. James Municipal Corporation earlier today, where he expressed concerns going into the festive season as cases continue to rise in the parish.
The general position is that the numbers are higher than they should be, certainly higher than the national average, which means that something is happening and something is not happening, or not happening the way it ought to. The intelligence on the ground coming from a number of the key stakeholders, our public health team, but also with agencies that we work with, is that too many people are not following the protocols. And the result of that is higher cases of positivity rates, more hospitalizations, more deaths, and we are concerned that going into the festive season, the temptation is to do more of that, which will result in more cases going into January. And we really want to try to see if we can cauterize it as best as possible prior now, so that come January, we can still manage. And so we are working for a solution. However, there's no time for us to be complacent. We have to be vigilant. We have to continue to provide personal responsibility in terms of our own behavior and in the communities, and manage the process so that we do not become overwhelmed, because clearly the consequences of the public health system being overwhelmed would be that persons would die for a lack of attention, as we have seen in other jurisdictions.
Dr. Tufton also gave an update on the COVID-19 ward being built at the Falmouth Public Hospital in the parish.
You will see at Falmouth, we're building out a new ward, a COVID ward. We call it the field hospital. It's not so much field because it's a permanent structure. But that's supposed to be a 36-bed facility, not for Falmouth. It is really intended for this side of the country. So it's for the west. We've placed it at Falmouth because it is most conveniently placed here, but it would apply to persons in St. James and even beyond. And hopefully that is going to be in place by mid-January. I just stopped there on my way here, and that facility is close to completion. So it's going on fairly well, and that will add some additional capacity to managing the COVID cases in the parish, but also in the region. But again, I say, if you have your bed count or occupancy at a particular level, if you have increase in cases, it means that you could be at risk of being overwhelmed going into the new year. if we do not emphasize the protocols leading into the season coming up.
Medical Officer of Health at the Trelawney Health Department, Dr. Diane Dale, in addressing the council meeting, gave a breakdown of the COVID-19 cases as at yesterday's date.
Public health services in Trelawney. We have a network of 19 health centers and the Type C hospital, Falmouth Public General Hospital. Now, as it relates to COVID-19, the first confirmed case of COVID-19 was recorded in the parish of Trelawney on the 16th of April, 2020. Since then, as at yesterday, December 16, 2020, the parish recorded 316 confirmed cases, with 5 of them transferred to other parishes, 1 repatriated, and 14 COVID-19 related deaths, which is a 4.5% death rate. So far, 83% of the confirmed cases have recovered. It's 258 persons, and there are currently 38 active cases, which is 12%. All the active cases are in isolation, 33 at home and 5 in hospital.
Dr. Dale also pointed out that Trelawney is currently ranked 6th highest in COVID-19 cases of all the parishes as at December 15.
Based on Ministry of Health and Wellness data up to December 15, 2020, Trelawney ranked 6th highest in the country with a cumulative COVID-19 case rate of 405 cases per 100,000 population. I just mentioned some of the communities for you where we have active cases at this time: Falmouth, Saltmarsh, Martha Brae, Bounty Hall, Granville, Bunkers Hill, Duanvale, Duncans, Spicy Hill, Clarkstown, Jacksontown, Stewarttown, Alps, St. Vincent, and Ulster Spring. So of the remaining 311 confirmed cases that we have investigated in the parish up to yesterday, there are 56% females to 44% males. 63%, or just under 200, would have been symptomatic, which means that the other 37%, so more than a third, would have been without any symptoms at all.
Meanwhile, the commanding officer in charge of the parish, Superintendent Kirk Ricketts, outlined strategies that have been implemented to deal with illegal parties and gatherings that surpass the authorized numbers outlined by the government.
Illegal parties. Most of these are captioned under 9-night or get-together. The challenge that we're having with it is that they are not advertising them in the usual manner. And so we have, under the auspices of SP Ricketts, we have developed a simple plan of scouring social media. Once we observe these advertisements or these posters, then we do a preemptive operation in the sense that we will find the proprietor or the organizer or the disc jockey, warn them of the breaches that is likely to occur, warn them of the regulation and the act, and then inform them to desist. For the funerals, what we're seeing is that when they apply, they will give a time, for example, like 12 midday, and then they will start the funeral earlier. They will start as early as 9 or 10. So what we're doing also is to get out there, especially for the family plot. We started off with the grave digging. We're ensuring that we are there, we speak to the family members. We reach out to the minister of religion who is committing the body as well, just to remind him or her of their obligation in relation to the numbers that are to be there, and then we speak diligently with the family members.
Superintendent Ricketts further pointed out that over 100 persons have been charged with breaches under the Disaster Risk Management Act to date.
For the public passenger vehicles and in the public spacing, people indeed have the masks, but they are not wearing them properly. So when you inform them of what is required, you will see them produce it from under their chin or probably out of a pocket, and we have to remind them. In the public passenger vehicles, the regulation said they are to take one less. That's still a problem. So what we are doing currently, we have increased our numbers. The senior officers are out there too, and we are informing, and we are possible we are prosecuting. Since the year has started, we have made, I think, over 139 arrests. Over 139 arrests for breaches of the disaster risk management. And we are getting convictions. So it's not a matter of just arrest as well, we are getting conviction.
Mayor of Falmouth, Councillor Colin Gager, during the council meeting, announced that Grand Market will be scaled down to vending only in the Falmouth Market that will close off at exactly 9 p.m. on Christmas Eve.
We are making sure that, and of course, Health Department is always on board with us, and they too have been helpful, and they have been down there helping for the social distancing, the wearing of masks. We are trying to do that. We have hand washing stations at various both exit and entrance. And of course, in the market, the bathroom is up and running. We just put in a new pump that can manage the water system there. So we are making sure that sanitizing materials is available. We are asking them to keep the social distancing, but we are having a challenge too. And we did ask super kits for a team, and they will be monitoring this Grand Market, the town of Falmouth. We don't want any selling in the town. We want to make sure that they abide by the rules and regulation. Market comes to a close on 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock sharp. At 8 o'clock, they will give a dim of the lights within the compound. At 8:30, they give 2 dims. And at 9 o'clock, it is out. So if vendors want to stay, we can't accommodate you, and the gates will be closed.
Still making news tonight, traffic investigators attached to the Freeport Traffic Department in Montego Bay have launched an investigation into a fatal accident that resulted in the death of a man and a woman in Bogue in the parish last night. The identities of the victims have not yet been released by the police. However, reports coming into our news center tonight are that shortly after 7:30 p.m., 2 pedestrians were in the process of crossing a section of the Bogue Main Road in the vicinity of the National Water Commission's office when they were mowed down by a motorcyclist. Both persons were killed on the spot. The motorcyclist fled the scene and is yet to turn himself in to the police. In news from the capital, detectives and personnel from the Jamaica Defense Force, JDF, have commenced an investigation surrounding the shooting and wounding of a store clerk employed to the Azan Supercenter in Crossroads, allegedly by an off-duty JDF soldier yesterday afternoon. Now, reports coming into our news center from the police tonight are that shortly after 12:20 p.m., the employee was reportedly at the entrance of the store's parking lot when an argument developed between him and the off-duty soldier. Now, during the dispute, the clerk was reportedly shot twice by the soldier. He was rushed to the Kingston Public Hospital, where he underwent surgery and was admitted in serious condition. The investigators have not yet revealed the nature of the argument that resulted in the clerk being shot. Continuing with the news tonight, the police are advising members of the public to adapt to safe practices and to be very vigilant as they conduct business and traverse public places throughout this Yuletide season. The police say they will continue to maintain a strong presence across the island to minimize attacks from criminals. Now, some of the ways that members of the public can help the police to keep them safe this season are to ensure that valuable personal possessions, for example, cash and high-end electronic devices, are properly secured or concealed. Thieves are utilizing motorcycles and other vehicles to commit robberies. The police are advising persons to be aware of their surroundings. Avoid using devices like earphones while commuting. Trust your judgment. If you feel that there may be a threat, go somewhere safe, such as your nearest police station, and avoid wearing excessive jewelry, particularly gold, especially when walking in areas with high pedestrian traffic. Now, during the festive season, more persons may be out in public conducting business, so wear your mask and maintain your physical distance. Avoid contact with anyone whom you suspect may be sick. Avoid touching your face, mask, eyes, nose, and mouth. Travel can increase the chance of getting and spreading the virus that causes COVID-19. As such, staying home is the best way to protect yourself and others. The police are also advising everyone to obey all road codes when traveling and to comply with the instructions of the law enforcement officers. Still making news tonight following the implementation of the Co-Management Non-Revenue Water NRW Reduction Program in Kingston and St. Andrew, KSA, the National Water Commission has once again partnered with the European-owned water operator, MIA, to assist with the reduction of water losses in the Portmore municipality. Now, speaking at yesterday's ceremonial contract signing of Portmore Co-Management Non-Revenue Water NRW Reduction Program, Chairman of the NWC, Michael Shaw, pointed out that the objective of implementing advanced systems is being actualized through the signing of this program.
The NWC will soar, embrace new technologies, and implement advanced systems that will put us in a better place. Today's signing of the Portmore Non-Revenue Water Program captures this objective very well. The island-wide non-water revenue levels is estimated at 70% of water production. Hence, a sense of urgency is being deployed to address this issue. The losses being racked up have an adverse effect on well-intentioned, honest, hard-working customers and ultimately our financials. We are moving decisively to deal with this issue, and hence the signing today. The project that will last over 5 years and has amongst the many expectations, operational efficiency, energy savings, high quality and continuous water service. There's a renewed commitment to improve operation at NWC, and we are determined that our customers will benefit from this continuous water supply, and this NRW project, therefore, will put us on that path.
In giving his address at the signing, Prime Minister Andrew Holness pointed out the maintenance regime of the government is not sufficient, largely due to the country's budget.
When we build these kinds of civil works infrastructure, they have a useful life built in. Some will last for 50 years, some maybe 70 years, and that life can be extended depending on the maintenance regime. The maintenance regime of the Jamaican government for its infrastructure is well known. It is not sufficient. A large part of that has to do with our budget. So we may very well do the capital works. We may have laid the pipes 50 years ago. We may have put in the sewage 50 years ago. But the recurrent budget to maintain it, we have not done so with great discipline. And that is largely due to the fiscal issues that we have faced as a country. And of course, we cannot hide from the fact that our own mismanagement of our affairs and the use of what I would call poor economic policies for a long and extended period of time would have impacted on our fiscal capacity to allocate the necessary budget to maintain the infrastructure. There is another element to this problem, which is the culture of lack of maintenance.
The Prime Minister also urged non-paying water consumers to regularize their status and start paying for the commodity, pointing out that the NWC is losing 70% of the water that it produces.
As far as the average citizen is concerned, government cost has nothing to do with them. There's a separation. Not realizing that government will have to find the resources some way. So whether it is a tax on GCT, whether it is some form of surcharge or tax on gas, whether it is you pay more for services that the government gives in terms of the government charging fees, in some ways the government has to collect the revenue. The government can't print money because that in itself becomes a tax on you through inflation. So whichever way you take it, the citizen should never feel that they can consume and escape payment because somebody else is going to pay for it. We end up losing water, yes, to the inefficiencies and weaknesses in the infrastructure, but we also lose water to illegal abstraction. At some points, as high as 70% of the water generated would have gone into either technical loss, that means the system is leaking, or through illegal abstraction. And the fear of the political class to address this issue, which is what I call a part of the politics of poverty. No one wants to have a conversation with our citizens, many of whom are poor and dispossessed. How are you going to ask them to pay for water? It is the greatest fear of politicians. But the country cannot move forward with things as they are.
Still making Mello TV news tonight, the delayed appointment of former Cabinet Minister Peter Bunting to the Senate was consummated this morning with his eventual swearing in to the upper house. President of the Senate, Thomas Tavares Finson, welcomed the new member, recalling their collaboration as members of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica for some 7 years, while Bunting served as General Secretary of the People's National Party. Bunting, who took his seat as leader of opposition business in the Senate, was welcomed by his colleagues on both sides of the political divide. The oath of allegiance came after delays attributed to an internal affair involving Norman Horn and the PNP. Still making news tonight, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries handed over conditional ownership for water harvesting infrastructure to 12 water user farming groups in 7 parishes across the island. These include reservoirs, catchment and storage tanks, both on-farm and central, as well as drip irrigation systems, which were constructed in Clarendon, St. Catherine, St. Mary, St. Thomas, St. Anne, Manchester and Trelawney under the second component of the Government of Jamaica's Adaptation Fund program. Now, this initiative is being implemented by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, through a grant of approximately $10 million from the Adaptation Fund. The program is aimed at strengthening climate resilience of the agricultural sector by improving water and land management, thereby protecting livelihoods and enhancing food security. Now, Portfolio Minister Floyd Green, during his address, hailed the project team for implementing an initiative that positively impacts farmers and their livelihoods, pointing out that, quote, "This project goes to the heart of what we need to do in relation to agriculture," end quote. This, he says, means expanding the island's irrigation network and ensuring that the farmers have access to water harvesting technology so that they can store the commodity for use during periods of drought. Still making news tonight, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett and Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Babsy-Grange, have joined forces in calling on Jamaicans and other persons seeking gift items to use the Yuletide season to shop locally and support Jamaican designers, artisans, and other local producers of goods and services. Now, their appeal was made at the third annual staging of the Tourism Linkages Network's Style Jamaica event, a fashion show featuring 14 Jamaican designers whose creations the ministers agreed could stand out against any of their international counterparts. This year's event was also paired with the Tourism Enhancement Fund's TEF's new e-Christmas Marketplace initiative, which is an online shopping marketplace showcasing a range of products from Jamaican designers and artisans. Now, the minister then urged everyone to buy Jamaican this Christmas. He stressed that, quote, especially at this time, I want to invite our Jamaicans to show confidence in ourselves and give meaning to buy Jamaican. We are approaching the season of giving to friends and loved ones, a loving act that COVID-19 and social distancing cannot stop. And I really want to appeal to everyone to shop Jamaican this Christmas, end quote. While endorsing the call for persons to support local producers when shopping this Christmas, Minister Grange said shopping is a major area for tourism and Destination Jamaica is one of the greatest brands. And those are the stories making news. I am Shelley Ann Hill. We will now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.